I keep thinking about Nina, about how long it took for her to even hear the word mom from Willow without it sounding forced or cold. It was not automatic, not natural, not one of those easy soap moments where tears fix everything. It was earned, painfully, awkwardly, and that matters. Because when you fight that hard just to be acknowledged as a mother, you cling to it, maybe too tightly. In General Hospital, Nina Reeves has never been the kind of character who gets simple happiness. The Reeves name used to mean something steady, decent. Not perfect, but decent. That changed. It cracked slowly, then shattered. Nina had two daughters. One, Nell, the so-called lost soul who spiraled into something darker and darker until people stopped seeing the wounded child and only saw the monster. Nellie is presumed dead now, and I say presumed because in this town, death is more of a suggestion than a fact. The other daughter, Willow, the quiet one, the one Nina desperately wants to believe is different. And here is where it gets messy in my head. Nina missed their childhood. She did not tuck them in, did not bandage scraped knees, did not sit through school recitals. She did not even know they were hers until they were grown women, until one of them had already built a life, a marriage, a reputation. Imagine finding out you are a mother after the hardest parts are already written. That kind of shock does something to a person. It makes you want to compensate, to overcompensate. I get that. I really do. But compensation can turn into blindness. And blindness, when crime is involved, becomes complicity. Willow shooting Drew, or if not the shooting, then the poisoning, the injections, the slow, deliberate act of harming a man who trusted her. Nina cannot possibly be oblivious. Even if she did not witness it directly, she is not stupid. She has been around enough manipulation and lies to smell when something is off. The medication bottles, the tension in Willow's voice, the way Drew's condition does not add up. It is there. The clues are not hidden behind some genius mastermind plan. What I struggle with is this idea that Nina knows and simply chooses not to know. There is a difference. Choosing not to know is a survival tactic. If she admits the truth, she risks losing Willow all over again, and Nina has already lost Nell. One daughter gone into darkness and death, the other barely within reach. That kind of fear can make a person justify anything. She might tell herself Willow had a reason. She might tell herself Drew deserves something. She might tell herself it is temporary, that no real harm will come of it. But harm is already happening. Being a mother means protecting your child. Yes, no argument there. I would never say Nina should turn her back on Willow at the first sign of trouble. But protecting a child and protecting their crimes are not the same thing. They just are not. If Nina helps cover this up, if she goes as far as injecting Drew herself in those upcoming scenes people are speculating about, then that line is gone. Completely gone. That is not protection. That is active participation. And once you cross that line, you cannot go back and pretend you were only trying to be loving. I keep thinking about how much guilt Nina must carry already. Missing their childhood was not her choice exactly, but it was her reality. And guilt makes people irrational. It whispers that you owe your child unconditional loyalty even when they are wrong. Especially when they are wrong, as if standing against them would prove you do not deserve to be their mother. But sometimes love means saying no. Sometimes love means forcing consequences. Willow's about to become a senator, a public servant, someone who will stand in front of cameras and talk about integrity and justice and responsibility. The irony is almost painful. She is preparing for her inauguration, busy with meetings, maybe even leaving town to solidify her political image. And behind closed doors, she is terrified someone will discover those poison vials. That is not leadership. That is hypocrisy. And here comes the part that feels almost predictable. Willow needs someone to look after Drew while she is away. She cannot hire a nurse because a professional might notice irregularities. She cannot trust a friend because friends ask questions, so she turns to Nina. Of course she does. Nina is the safest vault she has. Nina will not accuse her. Nina will not go to the police. Nina wants so badly to be chosen by her daughter that she will accept any role offered. It is heartbreaking in a quiet way. Willow probably believes Nina will never betray her. And she might be right, but she forgets something important. Nina has Ava. Ava Jerome is not naive. She is observant, suspicious by nature, shaped by her own history of schemes and survival. If Ava walks into Drew's house looking for Nina and notices something off about his treatment, she will not shrug it away. She will look closer. She will test the medication. She will ask questions that Nina does not want to answer. And if Ava discovers the truth, she will not protect Willow out of maternal instinct. She has betrayed Nina before. More than once. Friendship in this world is conditional, strategic. Nina trusting Ava blindly again would be almost tragic in its predictability. I can already imagine the scene. Ava holding a vial up to the light, frowning. Nina shifting in her seat, saying it is nothing, just a prescription. Ava not buying it. The slow realization that what is in that bottle is not healing Drew but harming him. If Ava gets those bottles tested and the results come back toxic, both Willow and Nina could face prison. And maybe that is what needs to happen. I know that sounds harsh. I am not saying I want Nina behind bars. But actions have consequences. If the show wants to explore morality seriously, they cannot let a future senator get away with attempted murder because her mother feels guilty about missing bedtime stories 20 years ago. There is also this pattern with Nina that frustrates me. She keeps trusting Ava despite repeated betrayals. It is almost childlike, as if she believes this time will be different. I do not know if that is optimism or denial. Maybe both. The Reeves family once represented something stable. Now it feels like a cautionary tale. One daughter consumed by cruelty. Another risking everything for ambition and fear. A mother stuck in the middle, trying to rewrite a past she never got to live. And I keep circling back to this question. At what point does protecting your child become destroying them? If Nina steps in to inject Drew while Willow is out of town, she is not just covering up. She is teaching Willow that power shields you from consequences, that family loyalty overrides morality. That is a dangerous lesson for someone about to hold public office. Maybe Nina thinks she is preventing a scandal. Maybe she believes once Willow is sworn in, everything will settle, the truth will fade, Drew will recover somehow. But secrets in Port Charles do not stay buried. They resurface at the worst possible moment. If Ava exposes this, the fallout will not just be legal, it will be emotional. Willow will feel betrayed. Nina will feel abandoned again. The fragile bond they built could collapse completely. And then what was all that protection for? I do not think Nina is evil. I think she is scared. Scared of losing another daughter. Scared of being alone with the knowledge that both her children chose darkness in different ways. That is heavy. Too heavy. But fear is not an excuse. If she truly wants Willow's love, she might have to risk losing it by telling the truth, by refusing to participate, by saying, I will stand by you as your mother, but I will not help you hurt someone. That is a boundary, a painful one. Whether she has the strength to set it, I honestly do not know. And maybe that uncertainty is the point. Because in real life, people do make these messy, contradictory choices. They justify, they deny, they act out of love and cause harm anyway. It is not clean. It is not cinematic. It is tangled. Nina stands at a crossroads. Even if she pretends she does not see it. Willow trusts her silence. Ava suspects. Drew suffers quietly. And the audience watches, knowing that secrets this big rarely end in peaceful resolutions. Part of me hopes Nina surprises everyone, that she chooses integrity over fear, that she proves being a mother is not about blind loyalty but about guiding your child back when they are lost. But another part of me, the part that has watched this show long enough, suspects she will falter, that guilt will win, that she will pick up that syringe with shaking hands and tell herself it is the only way. And if that happens, the tragedy will not just be Drew's condition, it will be Nina losing herself in the process, all in the name of love.